Thanks everyone for attending, and thank you to our panel for participating in this. My name is August, and I'm the executive director of the LGBTQ History Project, a nonprofit dedicated to preserving the lives and legacies of LGBTQ activists and pioneers from the first wave of gay liberation. Today, we have Tahara, Sweet Pam, and Scrumbly, who are all members of the Cockettes, excuse me, the gender bending hippie performance troupe that was active in the late 60s and early 70s. They were the satiric cutting edge of gay liberation. So I have some questions for the panel. We'll walk through it, and then we would love to do a Q&A and take questions from the audience. I'm going to turn off my camera so I'm not distracting anyone.
Well, we
And
don't get
I
to
would
see you. I was looking forward to watching you ask the questions.
That's why everyone's here, right?
But I want to see, can we see you or how do you other feel? Anyway, do what you want. Go ahead.
I can keep my camera on, no
Oh,
problem.
good. Then because I can, if I read your lips, I can hear.
Okay. I will speak slowly then. So I want to start with the beginning of everything. Tahara and Scrumbly, what drove you into this world? How did you meet Hibiscus?
Scrumbly, you go ahead.
Okay, well, in by 1969, he was everywhere. A lot of places I went, and because of the cauliflower commune, which was a commune where everything they were trying to be part of a totally free society, like the Diggers, and he would come to our little place where we all lived. We somehow were connected, probably from going to the stud bar, things like that. And he would visit us. We had some people, some early Cockettes living there, like Miss Harlow, and I can't remember who else at the very beginning, but we had a lot. And he eventually left Cauliflower and moved in there. And then we started the Cockettes. He said we'd been meeting at the Palace Theater. We were pretty much all there for Halloween 1969, and but I didn't go in costume or anything. But on New Year's Eve, he said, everybody, Stephen wants us to go up on stage and do a whole number. Stephen Arnold, who ran the midnight movies with Sebastian.
Nocturnal dream shows, yeah.
Nocturnal dream shows, yeah, midnight movies at the Palace Theater. It was a big theater. So at midnight or before midnight, we all went to the commune where Hibiscus lived at the very beginning with Irving Rosenthal and a bunch of people. And we got, Ralph was there, and we were able to raid the costume room because everybody shared clothes, right? And we raided the costume room and got a bunch of dresses and just put them on. And then we went to the palace and just threw the whole thing up on stage and danced to the Rolling Stones. So Hibiscus was also, you'd pass him on the street or you'd see him out and about, and he was always dressed in as much as he could get on and glitter on his eyes, and his beard had glitter in it sometimes, and he'd be throwing flowers to everyone. Later in the Cockettes, I always used to take him in my little VW downtown where we'd get the flowers that the flower stands had thrown out, and we'd throw them on stage. Okay, that's enough. Your turn.
Very good. Very good. What was the question again? When did I meet Hibiscus?
Yeah. And the rest of us.
And all of them. Well,
You were there that night, weren't you? New Year's Eve?
we're talking about the 50th reunion.
No, I'm talking about 1970.
No, I wasn't in the first
Oh,
show.
I thought you were.
No, but I was, we had already, just the month before in December, we're working on Luminous Procurus. And I was in that,
Yeah,
but I lived in Berkeley and you all lived in San Francisco. So it was difficult for me to be there for whatever was happening. I met Hibiscus at Altamont, the Rolling Stones concert. Were you there? And you were Pam?
I was.
No, no, I wasn't at Altamont. I was coming back from Colorado with David Johansen at the time. And I missed the show.
So you weren't had not yet come to San Francisco
Oh
yourself?
yeah, I've been
Oh
living in
yeah.
San
Oh, oh,
Francisco.
oh,
I've
oh,
been living with Ralph in
right.
1968, and I knew Hibiscus already. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't remember a lot of that stuff. It's so long, but I met Hibiscus at Altamont. I had seen him in the streets dancing in his costumes, and it's really for me very difficult to I had just come to California, San Francisco from Texas. And my father was a fundamentalist Christian.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Praise the Lord. And so I had been in this fundamentalist environment. And then I saw the summer of love happening. And I thought, oh, that's where I need to be. So I made this plan to run away and come to San Francisco. And my father was not happy. I didn't tell anybody until the morning I left. And he went and got a shotgun. He was a redneck, got a shotgun, and he was in his underwear because it was like early in the morning. I was trying to leave before he got up. And he came out in his underwear on the front porch, and we lived in suburbia. And he had that shotgun, and he started shooting at the car, trying to kill us. We got out of there, and then I arrived in San Francisco, which was the complete opposite of Texas. And I saw Hibiscus in the streets not long afterward, and he was mind blowing, basically,
Yeah,
mind blowing. And I tried to describe the look because you must remember I was from a different fundamentalist Christian background, but I had never seen anything like that. And I've tried to describe it, and it's really hard to describe it because you'd never see anything like it. It was a work of genius, basically. And he had, these, nobody dressed like that at all. It was very, very, it was like, uh, it was like something in the middle of everything, that had nothing to do with anything. But anyway, you've seen pictures, I'm sure, of the robes and the feathers, and it was very magical.
he was
And I,
walking theater.
huh?
He was walking theater.
He was. And this, I didn't know it, but later I was told that a guy named Jack Smith, an
Oh yeah.
artist named Jack Smith in New York, Hibiscus had known him and had gotten his idea for these costumes
Flaming
from
Creatures,
Jack
right?
Smith. What's
From
that?
the movie he made, Flaming Creatures.
He made Flaming Creatures, which was considered, it was an underground film. It was considered avant-garde genius artist. And Hibiscus got his ideas from that. They were all in that scene in New York at that time. Hibiscus was a theater person. His parents were theater people on Broadway. So he knew Jack Smith and got his ideas from that. So I saw him, and I was at Altamont, and he was at Altamont, and I had been inspired by hibiscus because I had been raised in, my father was a rodeo clown in Texas. And as a child, I had been raised by a fundamentalist Christian rodeo clown who wanted me to be in the act and play his little 7-year-old drag queen wife. And I
Oh,
did. I played in all the acts, and I did that until I was 17. And so I came to California, and I immediately saw hibiscus. And so I was inspired by him. I began dressing like him with not as much as he did. I was still in the closet at that point, I think, and dressing up. And then I saw hibiscus at Altamont. I'm sorry, the story's so long, but I saw hibiscus at Altamont, and he came up and saw me, and I said, "Oh, I'm very glad to meet you. I really admire you." And he said, "I want you to come to an event I'm having." He gave me a piece of paper with an address on it in San Francisco, and it was the filming of Luminous Procurus. So the following Saturday I went to this address, and that's where we were filming at Stephen Arnold's studio.
right.
Luminous Procurus. Pam, were you in Luminous Procurus or not?
No, no, I was not.
Was we did this giant freeze, where everybody and a lot of people were in it. In not Ralph though, but Adrian, not Adrian Brooks, but other
Adrian Milton.
Adrian Milton.
and Johnny McGowan, and
Well, all the Cockettes before they were Cockettes were
Prima
there.
Ritz. Yep, no, we had actually done that scene was filmed in February. We'd actually done the New Year's show, and that scene was filmed just a few weeks later. And so we got the same people, and Stephen asked us to recruit people. We did other scenes like the Sea of Flesh and the great big banquet scene.
So that was filmed before, you say.
No, I'd say after all of it was filmed after.
Oh, okay, okay.
Just a few weeks though.
I wasn't there, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
a few weeks after the New Year's show.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was at the filming, but I wasn't at the first show, so
Yeah.
I thought the first show was afterward. But anyway,
Pam,
so
what
that's
did
when I met the rest of the Cockettes that were there. And then the film came out, and the only problem I thought was it was too long, but it was a beautiful film. It was so exotic, but I
Oh
thought it was
yeah.
a little long.
We better get some word from Pam, I think.
Yeah, Pam, what did the average day as a cockette look like? Were you working a straight
Oh,
job?
no, no one worked. I mean, well, no, Creamer worked. Creamer was a bus driver. Well, yeah, yeah, no, I didn't work. No, now I came out here before I ever got involved with the Cockettes with David the Mad Bomber, who bombed Army induction centers. He was on the lam, and Baby Bobby, who turned out to be famous in his own right as Bobby Miller of Studio 54 fame, the photographer. So the three of us came out here together. And I met Hibiscus. I was living with Ralph, who coined the term Cockettes in 1968 in
Yeah.
a commune. And then I ran into Hibiscus. I met him in Golden Gate Park. And he was in a tree singing with Ralph and some other people. And he was incredible. And he invited me home, and I had nowhere else to go. So I went to Cauliflower with him. So anyway, he kept saying, well, be in the shows. I just was running back and forth to Colorado, so I missed the first couple of shows. But, our typical day, getting back to what we did, was just go, well, we'd walk up and down Haight Street a lot. That was early before the Cockettes. And then when the Cockettes started, we would hang out at the Palace. I would remember going there, and it was an all-day affair, wasn't it, Scrumbly? Everybody would just,
Day?
I remember it being all day. I don't know where else we went.
At the palace? No, I never got there before midnight.
No, during rehearsals, during the,
We're
oh,
all at midnight.
well, I don't know where you,
They were
because
after
I
the
was at
movies.
daytime rehearsals.
We didn't have any. They had to be after the movies, the Chinese movies played there.
Oh my God, I'm in an alternative reality.
Yeah, we were, it was, it was so easy for us to be up at 4 a.m. when we were in New York.
Scrumbly, we had
Yeah,
daytime
I know we
rehearsals
did.
there.
Yeah.
Not at the palace.
Mr. Chu used to come and let us into the theater. I think they started around 3 in the afternoon or 1
Yeah.
in the afternoon, something. We did it. Kenneth Marlowe came in the daytime.
That's right. That's right.
I remember all the night ones, like when Johnny Winter.
And then the TV crew came and was trying
What
to
were you
catch.
on?
Really? The TV crew wanted us for that documentary and they came in and Hibiscus threw them all out. That was during the day. Oh yeah.
When Johnny Winter came there and gave people
That was
That
another
was at
time.
that Montgomery place over that what's her face? The
right.
Sandy Love. Sandy Love.
Sandy Love.
Love.
She always gave us hash all the time. Remember that? She was like a hash dealer. She was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Rolling Stone gave us hash to write the movie, which we never wrote.
Well, that would have been something shocking.
Hibiscus turned down the cash and did it for hash.
Trisha's
Oh,
wedding
there's a
was
song
bad
there.
enough, but the Cockettes film would have killed people. Anyway, Pam, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I'm at the end of that little tale.
I remember Hibiscus brought you to rehearsal, and you
Me?
brought with you Marshall Olds
Oh yeah,
and his wife Diane and their little girl baby, almost Magic.
magic.
Yeah, well, I had been living with them in New York because Marshall was an ex-Carney, and of course, eventually he joined the Cockettes. And they had picked me up off the street because my apartment burned down in New York, and I was sitting on my suitcase in front of Gem's Spa with a "Take Me Home" sign around my neck. So they had taken me home. So I knew them from New York, and they came out here, and we eventually started squatting on Sutter Street across the street from Cauliflower.
What is squatting? What is squatting?
Well, the redevelopment agency shut down.
Actually squatting?
The redevelopment agency in San Francisco shut down a lot of houses in Japantown because they wanted to redevelop the neighborhood. And so we just moved in, took the boards off the windows, and Marshall hooked up the utilities down at the street level, and we lived there. We even got our mail every day from the mailman. It was
You
great.
didn't pay rent?
God, no. Beaver did the same thing in a different house. So a lot of us were living rent free, so we didn't have to work. Even when I was living with Ralph, I was renting a walk-in closet for $20 a month. So you don't have to do a whole lot to make $20 a month.
On Haight Street, when we lived on Haight Street, there were 10 of us. The rent was $150.
For 10 people, right.
10 people.
So, we didn't have to work in that sense of the word. I mean, we were always busy, always busy. It took a lot of time to put your drag together. I mean, we spent a lot of time going to thrift stores, loose servants, anywhere we could. We were really immersed in the whole thing.
I used to make costumes for and clothing for the third hand store.
That's right. And Marshall and Diane worked at the third hand store where we got a lot of stuff.
How did everything being so inexpensive and like cheap and affect your creativity?
Oh, well, it gave us lots of free time to to be high a lot. When you have just free time and you do what you really feel you want to do, you can be so creative. You can be so much more creative, and unless you want to waste your time on something, some downward spiral. But yeah, we all had a great time. Let's see, what do I need to talk about? Oh yeah, the lack of inflation. It was just, $150 back then was more like $1,500 now. So,
And so that meant $15 a person, you know.
or $150 now, which,
I only paid rent one time. Nobody at that house had any money, as I recall. I think John Flowers might have had a little bit.
Yeah, he took a loan for a college loan because he was
Yeah,
going to
and the
Oakland.
rent we had to Scrumbly, I think you collected the money
yeah.
and paid the bills, but all I remember is about rent and stuff is it was we didn't have any money. I think the whole house was supported by two or three people.
Most everybody kicked in something.
I only one time contributed $30. That was in the whole year I was there. And the other thing I remember is we never had any food
I
at
guess we did.
all.
Dad used to make brown rice and vegetables all the time.
Now
Cheese.
this was before Jet, because Jet didn't come till later when he decided to break up the
With Irving.
Cockettes.
But I used to be the one to go to the store and buy a 100-pound sack of brown rice.
Boy, there was plenty of
I
it.
don't remember any of that. All I remember is the lighting technician for the Cockettes and his boyfriend Reuben and Daryl
Daryl, little
lived
Daryl.
with us, and Reuben got a job in a donut shop and brought home all the boxes and boxes of leftover donuts every night, and we ate donuts for 3 weeks until we were all vomiting, and nobody could look at a donut. And he kept bringing them, and then finally he quit that job, and then we all started drinking red wine.
We were not above going to get vegetables that were thrown out by the grocery stores.
Right. Hibiscus would lead those things where we'd go raid the dumpsters outside the grocery stores.
Yeah, and we do things like there was a bar in,
And I know you cooked. I remember you used to make spaghetti. And Goldie Glitters cooked sometimes, and John Flowers would.
oh yeah, Russian baked chicken she made.
Oh, I remember you did make. We were all meat eaters, or I was, and you made a chicken for Sebastian when he came, the manager of the theater, when he came over, and we had the French Revolution. We
That
were
horrible
doing
meeting,
French
that
stuff.
horrible meeting, right?
And Jet vomited during the meeting because we were eating meat. He was a vegetarian, and we were eating meat, and he vomited.
Poor Jet.
Oh, he's gone now. Gone.
No.
His final reward.
Poor Jalala back then.
He was Jalala. Jalala he got the name from a Moroccan dance, a type of trance dance in Morocco.
August, are we going the direction you need?
It's okay. I'm
you
gonna
want to go
change
back,
the I'm gonna change the question so anyone can answer. So Tahara, you were involved with gay liberation in Berkeley. How did the climate, like gay liberation, civil rights, anti-war, women's rights, women's lib, play into the Cockettes performances?
In all ways. I wasn't the only gay liberationist in the Cockettes. Lyndon Sandler, he and I had been in the gay liberation together in Berkeley. And also John Flowers was in gay liberation in Berkeley. And when I got into the Cockettes, I told them to come and see a show, and they did, and instantly they wanted to join, and they did. And but the interesting thing about the gay liberation is it was the difference between the Cockettes and gay liberation was the Cockettes were more of an art liberation, gay liberation art, and the gay liberation was much more government focused and passing laws and stuff.
Yeah, I think the Cockettes were visceral. And I think what people used to say is that we did more for gay liberation than any group had at that point. Because for one thing, we got all of these. I mean, we were the first gay hippies. I mean, actual hippies. Many people in Caleb were not exactly hippies, but we were the ones. We were the freaks, and we were the ones who had been dressing up, you know, because it sort of crossed the culture of it, crossed into rock and roll. We used to always go to the Fillmore and the Avalon back in the day. You know, give your name as being on the guest list, and somebody on somebody's guest list was sure to be there.
Yeah.
But you know, we were we were involved in that scene, the groupie scene, like especially Miss Harlow and
They made a film about that called
the groupies, and a lot of them were in it.
documentary.
But the fact that we did gender role confusion, the fact that we attracted a large contingent of different kinds of people, rather like all the freaks in San Francisco that were open to this. Everybody was opening up to their sexuality.
Right. And there weren't any strict labels. You
Right.
know, it was hybrid hippies, hybrid. There were gays, hippies. We all were
And
We were-
everything in between.
everything. And there weren't any strict labels like you belong here, you belong there. I mean, it was all of us. It
Yeah.
was a wave, really.
I remember, Pam, when you came to the Cockettes, when Hibiscus brought you to the rehearsal.
Oh no. Oh
You
no.
were kind of you were dressed like a hippie Earth Mother.
Really, I believe it.
You had this long curly hair past your waist, and you had on a granny dress, this long old fashioned dress, and I think you were wearing a homemade blouse with ruffles.
I have no doubt.
I think you were barefoot also, and
I kind of maybe perhaps.
yeah. And I looked and I thought to myself, now, how does she fit in with raging drag queen, gay drag
Hibiscus
queen?
saw something. He saw something in each of us, you know, and it worked. Yeah,
You
am I
did.
right?
You later became one of the featured performers, you know, and you were in God knows how many years you were in Cockettes. I don't know. I was in the first year.
What
And
were
I
your-
left and went into the Angels.
Right.
What were your
All of those differences we had in those days over, you know, free or not free, or you remember all the schisms and everybody was like, you're going to hell and all this stuff. But it all seems now to have kind of blended more, and everybody's Scrumbly, for example, did music for the Angel of Light
Played for a lot
videos.
of Angels shows.
Yeah, and he's been in a lot of Angel shows, and Pam's worked with a lot of Angels. I don't know if you were in any Angels shows.
Oh, yeah.
Cinderella,
Oh, yeah.
Cinderella too. She was in that.
I was Cinderella
Oh, okay.
too,
So
and also the
everybody
Moroccan opera.
nowadays, it's the political differences and the philosophy is not as intense.
Yeah, well, the Angels
Right.
relaxed. They relaxed their free show, their free theater, and we all relaxed our. Well, we just didn't see that, you know, since we were sneaking so many people into the palace all the time, the ones that couldn't afford the $2 entrance.
We never made any money anyway.
Well, Sebastian threw a fit because they had sold those tickets already. And when the people came in, somebody was sitting there. So that was the
reserve seats.
problem.
They didn't reserve seats, but once in a while he did. But
I mean, if
he
they're-
just let it go on. He was
There were
aware of it.
1,300 seats in that place. There was a lot of seats.
Sebastian was aware of it. He let most of it go on. Yes, only when they had sold these tickets and there wasn't room for the ticket buyers did he get upset.
Well, we got in trouble with the fire marshals because they packed that theater. I mean, people were sitting in the aisles some nights. It was completely packed.
Everybody was on drugs.
And the fire marshal came. Yeah, and and Sebastian got hauled off to jail at least once.
Sebastian was taken to jail.
Yes, he was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for overcrowding the theater.
Well,
Ah,
I was shocked when I heard the Palace Theater was paying off the police.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Well, back in that day, everybody did.
Hmm.
We were basically criminals.
Well, our shows went on didn't the Halloween show go on till 4 a.m.? I mean, this is way past anything that was supposed to be open, you know.
Well, there were so many people freaking out on acid, in the show and in the crowd, the audience. So
I think August had a question for us a minute ago.
Yeah, can you talk about a couple of the plays, maybe Scrumbly?
Let's see, which one, Pam or oh, how about the first New Year's one, Tara? I think that was the last one you were in. Our,
which one?
our 1 year anniversary, it was New Year's, and we did it at Bimbo's. And I remember Goldie being carried by, she had 4 guys carry her, and you sang Moon of Monokura, and you had these big dried branches you would wave all the way across the stage, and ideally you'd smack somebody in the face a little bit. And it was all, there was a lot of physical comedy in the Cockettes shows. But before that was the first scripted show, which one of our members wrote, Link Martin, and I wrote music for it. So it was the first all original show. Now, up to that point, we'd done shows like Gone with the Showboat to Oklahoma, the Fairy Tale Extravaganza.
Hibiscus written.
Yeah, he'd started those, but we all partook. What happened for those early shows was he would invite people to go along with this theme, and we'd all come up with our own number. We'd all cast our own number for the people we wanted involved and make all the arrangements. And I played piano at the very beginning, but then we had other people come in so I could get up and freak around too.
It was kind of a free-for-all, a lot of times.
Well, it was mostly Broadway musicals.
Yeah, a lot of attention to Broadway musicals, but that was like, for instance, Gone with the Showboat to Oklahoma. And we did one that was like Madame Butterfly or something, but that was we can't do that now.
It was in fake Cantonese, wasn't it?
Huh?
Wasn't it in fake Cantonese?
Well, that's what Rumi always said, but it wasn't fake anything. It was just.
No, it was in Rumi's mind. He was saying.
And geishas were not Cantonese; they were Japanese. See, that's the problem.
Nobody cared.
I know, except me, and I'm a stickler for accuracy.
God knows what you're seeing on acid.
Historical accuracy is important to me.
But there wasn't at that point, it wasn't. We mixed everything. We mixed cultures. We mixed everything.
Yeah, because it was just totally free expression. There was...
Cockettes were not racist at all. Not at all.
When we did the circus show about the middle of the... No, that was the second year. No, I can't remember when it was. But anyway, I went out on stage having in a dress, and I was having some sort of pain in here, and I think, is there a doctor in the house? And it was the circus show, and 4 people as elephants came running up, elephant doctors.
Duotomy.
They operated on me. They pulled out saran wrap and everything. Like this, there was this Filipino film where this doctor actually reached in with no blood and pulled stuff out. And
I never understood that number.
I know. Is it real?
They were singing duotomy,
AI or any real fake. But it was hard to believe. I had to leave. I had to go out in the lobby during that film. But anyway, it impressed us. So I had a duotomy, and I got up and sang duotomy.
Do what you want of me.
That kind of freedom, that kind of craziness. Goldie Glitters had her flea circus where she walked out with this little tiny box, and she says, "Okay, now jump," and she'd call out and have them do tricks.
She pulled them out from her groin.
She squatted. She squatted and let the crabs jump off.
Everybody was on acid.
Wow.
It was bizarre.
But Pearls
John Waters was there.
Pearls was really great. That such a fun show to do, even though we can't do it now because
why not?
Well, because we can't
culturally
playing Asians that aren't Asian.
Oh, I see. Yes, that's true. That's true.
and
We even did blackface.
but it was a
Cockettes.
stand up. Yeah, I know. It was a send up of old Hollywood. Pearls Over Shanghai was.
Shanghai
That's
Express.
what we were parodying, and we knew it was ridiculous for Chinese to appear that way.
But they see the audience was in on the joke. We
Yeah,
were,
they were in on the joke.
yeah, it was what we were sharing. We were mocking all these things in society, and everybody was in on it. You know, the audience was part of the show.
But it was an ignorant racial stereotype.
It was.
I
It
didn't.
was. But so were the
It was what
movies.
was done at that. At we had three black people in the Cockettes.
Yeah.
Sylvester, Lyndon, Toby. Am I forgetting anybody? Black
Reggie.
Reggie. Four. They. I don't remember them objecting. So
No, no,
it
they
was not done in the
We
spirit
were
of
taking the
racism. It was
Mickey
done
out of
in the spirit of
everybody
a
and
time that,
everything.
is now considered racist. And back then it was racist, but you know,
and there was some we could have been more woke.
it was woke.
We wouldn't have been the Cockettes if we were
Didn't
woke.
hurt anybody. And
Woke, which will soon be illegal.
yeah.
The Cockettes were almost illegal.
They still are.
We
So
took everything to this extreme to show how stupid it was.
Yes.
All these stereotypes were so ridiculous. We took it to the extreme, to poke fun at it because we knew how ridiculous it was.
Yeah. And we would parody everything.
Everything. Nothing was off limits.
Thing I recall is people back then, when they saw one of us in our looks, they did not know what it was. The identity of a gay person or a drag queen or whatever had not yet come to be, because the only word for men that dressed as women was drag queen, and drag queen was someone who tried to pass as a woman.
Right.
But the
Not
Cockettes,
us.
what?
Not us.
Well, we had beards and mustaches, and the women, were they kind of dressed like fairies or
Well,
something.
Markel used to wear a dildo,
And gypsies. What's that?
Markel used to wear a prosthetic.
I used to have a mustache in Pearls Over Shanghai at one point.
Yeah.
So people, when they saw us, they didn't identify it as gay or this is gay or this is a drag queen. They just went like that, and nobody knew what to say. But then, as it became more gay identified, nowadays they look at it and say, "Oh, that's a drag queen," or "That's gay," or something like that. But back then, it wasn't that easy.
Because what we were showing is these are people. These are real people, and we can't be classified. You can't put us in a box. And that's, I think it helped a lot at that period in time, to eventually make trans people make their life a little easier, their acceptance a little easier. Because it was a big influence on a lot of people. They picked up on it in France and Germany, Italy.
Yugoslavia.
Yeah, really. They influenced a lot of people all over the world. David Bowie.
So the Cockettes went to New York, but Tahara, you didn't go. Why didn't you go to New York?
Oh, well, I was in the Angels of Light, which came out of the Cockettes. There was a whole huge schism in the Cockettes over money and
Free
commercial.
shows.
You have to remember it was the height of the Summer of Love hippie period, and there was all these idealistic ideas about reforming society and new ways, because we were in the middle of the Vietnam War then. I didn't go myself. I told them I I was married to a canary, but and then I had to move. And but it was what was your question again?
New York,
What was it again?
about going to New York. We went.
Oh, anyway, so why didn't I go to New York? Well, I
That's
was in the Angels of Light at that point, and I was doing free theater, and we'd had a whole schism with the Cockettes, and they wanted to become famous and
yeah.
career, whatever.
Many people's motivation with an objection to Hibiscus was that he kept upstaging people
No, I understand
all the
that. I
time.
agree. I
And,
agree.
and also, we wanted to be more rehearsed. Some of us were getting tired of just throwing these shows together, sloppy shows, and we wanted something with a little more polish because we wanted we wanted our own performances to be better.
But weren't a bunch of the Cockettes on heroin?
No.
They weren't. I heard a lot.
There were some in New York. By the time we got to New York,
New
there was.
York, there were a couple things, a
Yeah.
couple people, but no, it wasn't predominant at all.
Oh,
There's like maybe two or three.
well.
I've been, we'd been,
We were all alcoholics in the Angels of Light. Most all of us. I can't. In the and then later on they got like they wanted more polish and people quit drinking. But so anyway, I was in the Angels, and it was really a matter of I philosophy and ideals. We were a free theater group. They were a commercial group. We didn't do any publicity in our Angels of Light. They did publicity. We didn't charge money. They charged money. It was just that. And then, of course, we had a different communal lifestyle. We were into uh, this ideal called the John Humphrey Noyes plan of ideal living. It was called, and cauliflower was the Irving Rosenthal was the guru, and he told us all the new world is coming, and we're all going to be living together, looking each other in the eye, and living real lives. And so
So
we went for that, and the Cockettes didn't go for that. Neither did John Waters. He was against that.
so the story or the myth of it all is the New York
So I
show.
couldn't go to New York. I would have been crucified.
So the
But
story
here's
or
a
the myth.
story. Wait,
Okay.
August, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, August. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Um, I'm keeping track of the time also. Um, they were rehearsing the Cockettes. They were doing was it Tinsel Tarts and a
Tinsel
Hot
Tarts.
Coma? They were rehearsing downtown with Sylvester and Johnny and Bobby and all these people. Rumi, I don't think went, did he?
No, Rumi did not go.
He didn't go. Who else didn't go besides Rumi and I?
And Hibiscus.
And Hibiscus. Anyway, well, they're downtown rehearsing, and we're in the Angels, we're all free. And Hibiscus, unknown to anybody, sneaks to the Cockette rehearsal and begs to be put in the show. He says, I'll write a great show for you if you'll let me go to New York with you. And as Scrumbly said, he was an egomaniac. He was a charismatic genius, just inspired so many people. But, if there were 12 songs in a show, he had to sing 8 of them. So he had an enormous ego in that way. And hold on one second. I lost my train of thought. Oh, anyway, he snuck over to the Cockettes and begged them. Well, as Scrumbly said, he was an egomaniac. They didn't want him because they knew who he was. And Sylvester, especially because Hibiscus had ruined one of Sylvester's songs, and he burst out on stage dressed as a zebra in back of Sylvester in a Cockette
Dancing,
show.
right.
And Sylvester, after that, never liked Hibiscus again. And so they didn't want him there. So you know what? Sylvester, now Bobby, John Flowers, and
Rothermell.
John
Should we really
Rothemel
name all these
had
names?
been what?
I don't really think we should name all these names.
Well, they're all gone, aren't they?
Let it be in the
Gone.
past. Things.
Anyway, they grabbed Hibiscus, and he was a masochist. He probably loved it. Grabbed him and threw him down a flight of stairs and get out, you fucking bitch.
No, no, no.
It was all over town. Everybody was
Yeah, well,
talking about it.
Oh,
I
I
even
knew-
confronted Hibiscus about it.
All I knew was one person and Hibiscus had a fight, physical fight, and it was not good news. It was not pretty to see. We were all really upset by it.
Pam, what does a 2025 queer
Should
revolution?
have taken him with you.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Pam, what does a 2025 queer revolution look like?
Oh, wow. I'm in sleepy Sonoma County, so I'm not down in the heart of it like everybody else is. You know what I mean? Scrumbly and would have his his thumb on the pulse of what's going on in queer culture more than I do. I'm kind of tucked away now.
Well, something that from an almost 80-year-old man, what as much as I can be keeping track of this, I don't know. It just seems like the movement. I think I love this Pride Sunday tomorrow because a lot of the corporations are out of it. It started to me to get real middle class, and you know what happens? What happens when big money comes in? That's the kind of thing that can happen. There's just too much influence, just like it coming too much into the government. We had you can't help it. You get big donations from corporations that you try to keep those donations coming in. So I think re-examining where we're at and realizing how we feel and what the basic tenets are for gay liberation is to be even more inclusive than we've been. And that aspect of it to me is good. It's a good sign. It's just like the pendulum swinging, you know. Hopefully it swung so far where it's going to swing to the other direction and AOC is going to be the president. So, I mean, some people are saying that. Some experts are actually saying that. Historically, it always swings. So our reaction to what's going on right now can be a really good thing.
The Cockettes seem like they were the opposite of assimilation, and it seems like you might have been talking a little bit about that, Scrumbly. But what happens when the gay community assimilates?
It gets stronger. It gets more vital. It brings us together. I think that's the basis of what the Cockettes were, is everybody who doesn't stick to a certain stubborn dogma, everybody who was open to other people, whether they're gay or straight or anything in between.
We were a family, though. We were a family.
Yes, it's family. And feeling like we're just people. We're not trying to be anything we're not. We're just us, and please allow us to exist. Thank you very much. I mean, that's what the Cockettes were saying.
Anyone have a comment on this? But what do you think of drag as an act of grooming children?
Well, as a 7-year-old drag queen rodeo clown, I'm the last one to
That's great.
ever say no, but I think it's stupid. I think it's just homophobia, pure homophobia. If I can do it, other children can do it. And it's also, I think there are gay children. I was a gay child.
Yeah, I knew I would.
Scrumbly was a gay child. Pam was a gay child. It's there. They don't want it though. They don't want it. And it's, there, it's still, I, in 2025, and I'm in the present, but there's still other people that are still in 1952. It's just the way it is, I'm a little afraid myself nowadays, I think. Sometimes
Yeah, I know some people
I'm
are.
nervous.
But I think we all wanted to embrace our differences. I think now everybody is in separate little corners and fighting and arguing. Well, back then we embraced our differences to, it was more, I think it was, our group was more inclusive than it is
I
now.
know, but we were such a small, tiny group of people. We weren't a huge country or world then. We were just this tiny little, couldn't have been more than 50 of us or so. I remember at the Palace Theater in the first shows. The first show, I think there was that I was in. I think there were 50 people in the audience.
Right, but they were there for the midnight movies, and we were a surprise. After that, they started coming. It took about 3 months for the line to go around the block
Yeah,
outside the theater.
yeah.
Uh, but again, that was the idea. We're inclusive. I don't remember even thinking about anybody's race or about their racial identity, for instance,
Or their
Well, I
sexual
had to.
identity,
or their gender identity. They were just people.
I still had a lot of racist ideas left over from Texas, and Sylvester and I had an interesting conversation once about racism, and he said he didn't like to talk about race, and he was afraid. He said if he answered my questions, I asked him if black people liked white people for sex because he was always sleeping with white hippie men. That was his choice.
Oh yeah.
And he said he didn't want to get into a race discussion. Anyway, that I did have some racial prejudices. It took me, I'm over them now, I hope. I was married to black men for years. My partner, Arnold, and I were together 17 years. He was black.
Wow.
Yeah, he passed away. He's gone now, been gone a couple of years, but I miss him.
Um,
Oh, anyway.
so people feel free to put in questions in the chat while people enter questions. Just want to ask about queer expression as liberation. Do you think that is a good approach, or should we be more militant? Can you compare and contrast and give your thoughts on a vision for the future?
Well, right now it's hard to say. I mean, we have to keep creating. We have to keep expressing what we feel. We have to work hard on our love for everyone and feeling like and our connection with everybody. On the other hand, I really feel like we're watching this country turn into Nazi Germany right before our eyes, and I can't believe it, and it makes me sick. And I can't believe our politicians aren't seeing it and doing something really drastic to counter it. But that's the way did I stray too far from the original question?
No, that's a good answer.
I
We had
think we need a very strong, united resistance.
Well, it's happening, but the politics now are all about hate. It's all hate.
Yeah, that's why the only thing we can fight it with is the opposite of that.
And if you look at it from the other side's vantage point, they think we're going to make their children wear dresses and get fucked in the ass and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I know.
here we are.
I know. Yeah, totally ridiculous. As soon as people get to know other people who happen to be gay or something in between, they start changing their mind. It's a
I believe it will change. I don't think this is going to continue, this hate, because it's so fruitless.
yes, it's
And
very
if, I think people, if you look at the gay pride parades today, everybody's smiling. There's rainbows, there's colors, children, people dancing. All and you look at they had a straight pride parade last week in Idaho.
yeah.
And my God, I've never seen such stern,
Yeah, there you
desperate
go.
faces.
There you go. These people are not happy people, and they're not going to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to get beyond Gaza and stuff like that. It's just
Oh,
stuck in a hole.
it's
Huh?
hard.
It's about being who you want to be. I mean, everybody has to be who they want to be. And that's what makes you happy. I mean, that's what makes us all collectively happy is when everyone is being who they want to be. You
Well, they
know?
don't want that. The other side doesn't want that. They want you to be them, and that has never happened. It'll
Yeah,
never happen. Maybe that is the whole reason of life, maybe all this constant battle. But we're lucky that we've been through civil rights battles because that's kind of a guide for us, and we've come so far. My God, when I never thought we'd have gay marriage. At least when I was young, I never conceived it would happen. So, why, like Kamala says, we won't go back.
A lot of people are curious about how y'all got your names. We can start with you, Pam.
Oh, my name was given to me by STP John. STP John was an old boyfriend, and he started calling me Sweet Pam, and it just stuck. Just stuck.
And you were a hippie, or was that something that you got in school or something?
No, no, they call me Pup Tent in school because my name was Pam Tent. So they call me Pup Tent. No,
Pup tent.
yeah.
Whatever kind of tent you can get.
Because I was short, etc.
Yeah, with
No,
my last name being Coldewan, they used to call my brothers and sister Hot Beer.
well, I know how you got your name, Scrumbly.
Yeah, Scrumbly came. Okay, what?
Well, you were stoned with Sylvester and Emerson, maybe, or
No,
somebody. Hip,
Emerson.
whoop,
Emerson, and this was 1968 before I ever met Sylvester.
and you were smoking pot and eating cookies or something.
No, I don't know. We were
And
just
it says, you're not Richard, you're Scrumbly.
we were just hanging out, and they wanted to give me a nickname, Hip and Bloop.
Yeah.
Emerson and I can't remember Bloop's real first name. They wanted to give me a nickname, and so they said, "How about Camerata?" What? No way. And I said, I remember on like one early LSD trip, the word that summed everything up for me was scrumbit. So they changed that into Scrumbly, and they called me that. And then when I moved into the big commune on Arguello Street and met with the people from the groupies and met Hibiscus, I was Scrumbly. They called me Scrumbly. So you couldn't stop it after that.
Now, was this in San Francisco or Los Angeles?
San Francisco. I never lived in LA.
Well, I thought you were from LA.
Riverside. But I left there in '64, never, and went back one time for a year and then came back.
Oh. And Pam, you're from Ohio?
Michigan.
Michigan. I'm from Texas, and you're from California, August. I was in Gay Liberation, and there was a friend and another guy in Gay Liberation named John. And he had known Hibiscus. He was from New York City, and he had known Hibiscus in New York City. And they had both been in a play together off Broadway called Gorilla Queen. And I was starting to know Hibiscus in Gay Liberation. And John said, "Oh, I know him. We were in Gorilla Queen together." And I was, as I said, I was starting to kind of dress up like Hibiscus. And he said, my name at the time was Jimmy. Jimmy the Cockette. Anyway, he said, "Oh, your name isn't Jimmy." And there was a character in Gorilla Queen called Tahara Noogie White Woman. He said, "You are Tahara Noogie White Woman." John said this. And that became my stage name, and I became Tahara Noogie White Woman, but it was shortened to Tahara. The only problem with having a name like Tahara is everybody says, and I don't know how many times I have repeated it. They say, "Where did you get the name Tahara?" And how long did it take me to tell you the story? But the only one that didn't call me was Tahara was Sebastian, the manager of the Cockettes. He always called. He never got it right. He always called me Tiara.
What did the manager of the Cockettes do?
Oh, Sebastian, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, he ran the Nocturnal Dream shows, business end of it.
He did the publicity.
And with the filmmaker and artist Stephen Arnold, they would book the films, choose the films to do bookings.
My understanding is Sebastian was originally the accountant for the palace for the midnight.
No, he was an accountant in his private life at first, and he eventually left that.
I remember Stephen Arnold was manager or doing at the door and running the thing, but then he got busy with Luminous Procurus, and Sebastian took over then as manager.
Well, yeah, he and Michael Weiss.
Yeah, and then he was also doing the books and hiring people and getting stuff together. So, Sebastian contributed quite a bit to the shows. He rented a Klieg light for Hollywood Babylon. He got red carpets. For me, I think Hollywood Babylon was my favorite show.
That was fun.
Yeah, what was your favorite show? Pam?
Remember, Tahara, you and I were waiting a couple blocks away. They were going to have us all arrive in limousines.
Right.
And they had one of those big checker cabs, pink checker cab. We were waiting and waiting for our turn. We were all dolled up. We were all in drag. And then some tough guys chased us, and we ran.
Chinese thug gang.
And we ran in our heels all the way to the palace because the cab never came. We said, "What happened to the cab?" And somebody said, "Oh, he went home." Remember?
And they had already started the show inside without us. And nobody even said, "What happened to you?" We were completely forgotten.
No. Well, that's typical, but Michael Kalman should have realized you weren't there.
Well, and there was such a big opening with Klieg lights and people taking pictures on the red carpet, and we're blocks away, scared out of our wits.
What was your favorite show, Pam?
Oh, I don't know. Of course, I loved the Halloween show.
Oh yeah,
loved the Halloween show. That was great. I liked all the shows, really, pretty much. And Tinsel Tarts, I like Tinsel Tarts.
Yeah, I like that and Pearls, and I liked the both the French shows, both the Although probably Les Etoiles de Minuit after New York, when we came back, that was a really good one.
That was triumphant, that show.
Yeah.
I just had a baby. I was in the audience. I was like days out of the hospital.
Why
Yeah.
didn't you, weren't you supposed to do a show with Alice Cooper?
Yes, and it was canceled by the LA Police Department.
At the LA Palladium. Yeah, it was going to be at the Palladium.
All these big rock groups were coming around wanting to do stuff with us.
GTOs and us were going to open for them.
Iggy Stooge.
Eric Burden and the Animals. Remember that?
GTOs and the Cockettes were going to open for Iggy Stooge.
And who was it? Somebody at the Brooklyn Community Theater one time canceled. Was it Captain Beefheart? Yeah.
Captain Beefheart,
Captain
yes.
Beefheart, and then there was another group. Oh fuck, who were they? The Kinks. We were gonna do the album for them,
Oh, the
the
Kinks.
album cover.
Oh, Ray Davies danced with me in New York.
Yeah, right.
Full costume as Lily Frustrata.
But the Beefheart group, they all went. I didn't go. They wanted the people that were better at, diplomacy and business to go. I was an alcoholic mess. So they went, and Beefheart, it turned out, two of the Cockettes wound up making out during the meeting. Two men Cockettes, and Beefheart went crazy. It turned out he was a homophobe, and he said, "I'm not doing a show with a bunch of queers," and he threw them out. And the posters had already been printed and all the tickets and everything.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was the other group you were going to do it with? And they went homophobe too. There was some other group.
I don't know, but they were kind of scared. Yeah, we were a bit much.
Alice Cooper got his look from the Cockettes, his look at the drag and all that stuff. I met him. We went to see him. He was dressing like a college frat boy then, and the
Well, here's
Cockettes walked in. He went like that, and just crazy. Next concert, there he was in drag.
someone in the Q&A was asking if we knew anybody from the rock scene back then who was more on the gay side or was
From where?
in the rock scene back in the early 70s. And there you have the Kinks, especially Ray Davies. You have who was the drummer from the Who? Keith Moon. Keith Moon was into it. He gave some of the Cockettes rides in Central Park, in those. Took them out. Trying to think who else.
Johnny Winter.
Johnny Winter. Well, was interesting.
Janis Joplin, although I never met her, but she did come to the show.
You come to the show.
Yeah,
she
they came to the
waved to
show.
me.
But so
It
did
was
Herb
great.
Payne, and so did a bunch of socialites.
Iggy Stooge came home with us after his concert and had a 13-inch penis having sex with everybody.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it myself.
I saw it.
I was coming back. I came back from Yosemite, and there he was in bed in my loft.
He was cute.
Yeah, he flirted with me when I came in, but I was not going to do the three-way.
It was so big, it was useless.
Oh, yeah. I saw one other like that in my life.
Dare I ask?
Somebody from New York, he came and visited and said, "Oh, I have to share this, with everybody. So you get a hack at it too if you want."
But the rock stars never came backstage. I don't think any of them ever came backstage.
But they talked to us.
Yeah, they were. I think they might have left early because they didn't want to get mobbed or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
God, it was such a fun trip, that whole experience, and the celebrity hood. It all happened so fast too. One
Fantasy of being a celebrity. It was a fantasy. I didn't really buy it for 1 minute, but you could go along with it and just feel like that, because when you went out, well, I would still get recognized. I'd walk out of the streets in San Francisco as late as 20 years ago, and in a half an hour time, I might run into 3 people and say hi to. So it's just, that happened.
Did you
I
ever think
couldn't
you would make
handle it myself. It was very difficult to have mobs of fans,
Yeah.
just constantly. It's like it wasn't that they wanted to be your friend, which I didn't mind, but it was a lot of people were not the kind of people that I could trust, for example.
Some people looked at us like the Beatles. The things we would say and do on stage could be interpreted like they interpreted the Beatles,
Yeah.
open to wide.
Also, it attracted some weird people. Do you remember Hot Hands Harry?
No.
Used to come over to the Cockette house on Haight Street, and he was a huge fan. He started coming over, and then after a couple of visits, clothes and money and stuff started disappearing. You remember that?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I was gone by then.
You threw him out when we caught him. He was in the closet with a bag, stuffing everything.
I had to kick
You
out.
said, get out,
every-
don't come back.
Did you
Huh?
ever think you were going to make it like in straight culture and be
Are
pop?
you kidding? Not then, not then.
I didn't want to. I was able to keep doing the alt thing for quite a while after the Cockettes. And I don't know, I guess my first equity show was a thing called Rap Master Ronnie and about Ronald Reagan. But I had all these other groups afterwards. And then eventually, in the mid 80s, I had a trio called the Jesters, and we were pretty normal, and we toured Europe and everything. So
We wore tuxedos.
3 times, yeah, we wore
You
tuxedos.
were professional.
Yeah, and I've been invited to the Bohemian Club in several times, and gone there, and felt weird there. Also to the Bohemian Grove, but not during the meetings, but with the guy who used to conduct the symphony chorus, and with Peter Minton, who was our pianist for a while.
So I appreciate everyone joining. I just want to end with maybe a closing reflection. Can you all just talk about what you want the youth or the future generation to learn from your time in the Cockettes and the Cockettes? Maybe Pam, you could start.
Just be yourself. Just be who you are. Go for what you want. Don't let anything stop you. And just enjoy everyone around you. I don't know how else to put it. Just don't become what anybody else wants for you. Just be yourself.
Yeah, if you try to be somebody else, you are not going to enjoy other people being themselves around you. You're gonna think, oh, that can't happen.
You'll be miserable. There's so much misery in this world. The only way to change it is to radiate happiness and be happy in your own skin and help other people to be happy in theirs. That's my hippie philosophy I still have today.
Be your authentic self. If even if you think that's a freak, be it. Be it. As soon as you accept who you are, it won't seem so freaky anymore. This is my normal. This is what you get, and things start falling into place.
Well, young people, you may be very confused, but you can think that out, and everything is not confusing.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for attending and the panelists for participating. It's been great. Stay.
Now, one question: the poster said 12 to 3 p.m. Is it what is happening?
No, so
What was that 3 p.m. on the poster?
3 p.m. New York time, Eastern time.
Right.
What time is it in New York now?
It'd be 4:30.
30.
You're kidding.
Oh, it's 3 hours later.
Oh, did I count backwards? Maybe I don't.
Probably.
Well, okay.
3 hours
August,
later.
thanks so much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you,
so
everyone.
much, August. It's been beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you, Scrumbly and Pam, for being here. I had a great time with you.
thanks.
I
Yeah.
hope to see you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks. Talk to everyone later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.